Friends, in D.H. Lawrence's novel Sons and Lovers, Walter Morrill is one of the major characters. And so, today we'll talk about this character. The character of Walter Morrill has been drawn after Arthur Lawrence, the novelist's father. In his lifetime, Lawrence always disliked his father for having caused his mother misery by his behavior and brutish manners. So, while writing Sons and Lovers, his sympathies quite understandably lay with Mrs. Morrill. The character of Mrs. Morrill was drawn after his mother, and he was rather harsh with Mr. Morrill. Although in later life he confessed that in this portrayal he had been unjust to him, and said that if he were to write the book again, he would be more sympathetic to the father and less to his mother. But however, it is good that he withheld his sympathies for the grudge that stiffened his treatment of him, caused him to see his character with ruthless clarity and give us a really successful portrayal of Walter Morrill. Walter Morrill is 27 when Gertrude meets him for the first time. He is only a miner, a poor man, but he has a fascinating personality. He was very handsome. And Gertrude instantly falls in love with him. He is full of life and jest and is ready and pleasant with everybody. He is a very good dancer and he loves music also and also sings beautifully. He is very polite and pleasant with Gertrude when he meets her. But Gertrude dislikes dancing and she declines his invitation to dance with him. But at the same time, she is attracted by his humility. He also has overflowing humor and speaks in a typical dialect, which she likes very much. When they marry each other, they did it the heat, in the romantic heat of the moment, without realizing that they are very different or say two poles apart. Gertrude likes his ideas. Gertrude likes ideas and philosophy and is considered very intellectual. She is fond of holding arguments on religion, literature, philosophy, or say politics with educated people or some educated man. But these intellectual subtleties are beyond Walter Morrill. Their marital differences begins with the discovery of Walter's lies about owning the house and about the unpaid furniture bills. Although these are innocent lies told by a poor miner with a view to hiding his poverty from the girl he has just married, they cannot be equated with the calculated lies unabashedly indulged in by the so called cultured people. But the middle class superiority of Mrs. Morrill gets a rude shock and she begins to despise him, dislikes him. Then, after the birth of their first son William, Mrs. Morrill seeks exclusive consolation in him and gradually and unconsciously she casts away Walter Morrill. Meanwhile, he had virtually abstained from drinks after his marriage, but now he resumes his drinking bouts and often returns home drunk. He also becomes ill tempered. There are frequent quarrels between both of them, husband and wife, and after every encounter, his self assurance is considerably diminished. His physique also seems to contract along with his pride and moral strength. On one occasion, in a fit of temper, he shuts Mrs. Morrel out. But afterwards, he feels penitent and tries to make up for his misconduct by doing little things for her. So, there are certain incidents uh, which are responsible for widening the gap between the two and the lack of understanding on the part of Mrs. Morrel. And in all these incidents, what really irritates uh, we can say a reader is not the ill-manneredness of Walter or his ill temper, but the utter want of charitableness and understanding on the part of Mrs. Morrel. She not only looks down upon her husband herself, but also transfers her disdain, her dislike to the children. Since she defies him in the presence of the children, they also develop a peculiar aversion or dislike for their father. And virtually, he is shut out from all family affairs. The moment he enters the house, the children are just hushed into silence. He would have liked them to talk to him, but they do not care. Walter Morrel may be crude and unrefined in his manners, but he is essentially noble at heart. His repentance after he has shut his wife out on a moonlit night, or when he has hurt her by the drawer he has flung, is quite genuine. He has real love for his sons, although they, under the influence of their mother, never respond to it. Then, another important thing about Walter Morrel is that he is adept in making things with his hands. And the happiest moments of his life are when he is engaged in some such work as cobbling the shoes or mending the pit bottle. Then he is able to arouse enthusiasm among the children who crowd around him, handing him things and feel fascinated as they watch him work. On other occasions, he tells stories to the children and then they love him. It is at such times that the human side of his nature is thrown into relief. He is a good miner also, but on account of his grumbling nature and his inability to keep his immediate boss in good humor, he is denied the rise in wages he so richly deserves. Walter Morrel is the primitive man who lives by instinct. He is an instinctive man and his response to life, therefore, is natural. According to Lawrence, the sophisticated man's responses are conditioned. They are somewhat artificial. They are distorted and unnatural. But we can say that Morrel has affinities with Hardy's peasants who, thrown into a brutalized conflict with the city breds and their newfangled ideas, pitiably lose, nevertheless endear themselves to the readers by their sheer naturalness. They are indifferent to the idiosyncrasies of culture and idealism. They are the unspoiled primitives. According to Dorothy Venn, a famous critique, of all the characters of Sons and Lovers, in Walter Morrill alone does the biological life force have simple, unequivocal assertion. She thinks that Morrill wants to live by hook or by crook while his sons wants to die. Thus, we see that Lawrence uh, has depicted the character of his father through Walter Morrill in a very impressive manner. That's all, students. Thank you.